Okay, so this is my screencast for how to do a simplex minimization problem, and for the purpose of the screencast, I don't have how to set up the actual rows and columns that you can see right here, but basically these are going to be your restrictions on a maximization problem, and you take these numbers, you put them in, and you add in slack variables so that instead of being a greater than or less than, you end up having these equal to each other. And what you're going to do with that then is these numbers here on the bottom are going to be your zero, and that row is basically what these numbers added up are going to equal. And when you flip-flop these all around, they all become negative. Okay, so to start the problem off, you're going to want to find the row that has the most negative number in it, and obviously that's negative 200. So from there, you're going to take this, I think it's a column, yeah, column, and you're going to want to divide all of these. You're going to want to divide, never mind, you're going to want to divide this 0 by these numbers. So hit it, and here's what you're going to get. And then from there, these are your pivot numbers, okay? So whichever one is the smallest without being 0 is going to be your pivot number. And if we follow that over, that's going to be this row right here. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this whole thing right here, and I don't think I have this highlighted in this, but I'll highlight it here. That's going to be your pivot number, okay? So now we're going to move on. We're going to move on. And this is what we're going to do to these rows. Basically what we're going to want to do is to make this row equal 1 and make this, your pivot number, you're going to want to make that equal 1, and you're going to want to make the rest of these equal to 0. Okay, and this is including your 0. So you're going to perform these functions on each of these numbers, and then throughout each of these rows to get your new matrix. So let's see what that makes. And here's what you're going to end up with. Now, these are the changes that are going to be made once you do that, and the object here is to not have any negative numbers left in your 0. Okay, so obviously we have negative numbers again, and we have a negative 320, and that's our most negative number. So that's going to be our pivot row. Now these numbers, again, you're going to divide these numbers on the right by these numbers over here, and that's going to get your pivot point. And again, you want to go with the smallest number, and that's going to be here again, I think. Well, hold on, let me see how this works out. I have something else highlighted, and I'm not quite sure why. Oh no, that's right, never mind. Okay. So we're gonna see now. Okay, my computer just freaked out for a second. Hold on. Okay. Once again, you're going to want to take this matrix again. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the reason it's the pivot row is because you're going to take this x2 up here and you're going to move it into the S3 column, basically where these match up. Okay, anyways, back to the problem. The same thing is up above. You're going to take the numbers from this row and your smallest number, smallest ratio, which is going to end up being in your x1, x2 row right here. And once again, you're going to perform these functions on those rows to make this row 1 and make the rest of these 0. So what you're going to get is right here. And like I said before, the object is to make sure that you have no negative numbers in this Z row, and once again we do. So you're going to take your pivot numbers again from here and here. And here's what you get. Now, at this point, you're faced with a choice, and you can pick either of these ones, because a negative obviously doesn't work. And I believe, yeah, I went with the top one because this is already a 1, so that's going to be less work to do. Okay. Once again, I have the functions that you're going to want to perform on this matrix in order to get your 1s and 0s. And this is what you're going to come out with. Is right here. All 0s. And now, I don't have any more negative numbers. But it's not entirely done yet. What I'm going to want to do now is take every spot where my pivot row, my rows and columns match up. So where x3 and x3 meet, you're going to want to make that 1. Where x1 and x1 meet, again, you're going to want to make 1. Now, really, for this problem, there isn't a whole lot you have to actually do. So I'm going to hit something, and here we go. And here's what you end up with. Now, I think I missed something. Oh, yeah. The 0 also. Z is going to be right here, okay? So you're going to want to take this and also make that 0. So here's what you end up with. This is going to be your final matrix. This is where you take all your answers from. And as you can see, where everything is lined up, x3 and x3 you have 1, x1 and x1 you have a 1. So now let's see the answers. Alright, so y1 is going to be 17.5, and I just use x's, but it works either way. And that's going to be where your s1 comes down into your 0. Your y2, same as the last one, is going to be your s3, 32.5, and that's where you're going to want to have that. Okay, your w-min is where your final answer row and your 0 are going to line up, and then everything else, where everything else meets up, is all going to be 0. So yeah, that's a really simplified version of how to do a simplex problem, but it's just sort of what I go through in my head when I'm doing it. Okay, I guess I'm done.